canto entitled The Status Quo, Chapter 3, The Lord's Pastimes Out of Vrindavan, and today's text is number 22. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 22, please repeat. Tasyai Vam Ramamanasya. Tasyai Vam Ramamanasya. Samvatsara Ganan Bahun. Samvatsara Ganan Bahun. Grihamedeshu yogeshu. Grihamedeshu yogeshu. Viraga samajayata. Viraga samajayata. Tasyaivam Ramamanasya. Samvatsara Ganan Bahun. Grihamedeshu yogeshu. Viraga samajayata. Please chant.
Tasyaivam Ramamanasya.
Tasyaivam Ramamanasya.
Samvatsara Ganam
Samvatsara Ganan Bahun.
Grihamedeshu yogeshu.
Grihamedeshu yogeshu.
Viraga samajayata.
Viraga samajayata. Tasyaivam Ramamanasya.
Samvatsara Ganam Bahun.
Samvatsara Ganan Bahun.
Grihamedeshu yogeshu.
Grihamedeshu yogeshu.
Viraga samajayata.
Viraga samajayata. Tasyaivam Ramamanasya. Samvatsara Ganan Bahun. Grihamedeshu yogeshu. Viraga samajayata. Anybody else? Okay, word for word synonyms, please repeat. Tasya, his, evam, thus, Ramamanasya, enjoying, Samvatsara, years, Ganan, many, Bahun, great many, Grihamedeshu, in household life, Yogeshu, in sex life, Viraga, detachment, Samajayata, awakened. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Uddhava speaking to Vidura. The Lord was thus engaged in household life for many, many years. But at last, his detachment from ephemeral sex life was fully manifested. Purport. Even though the Lord is never attached to any kind of material sex life, as the universal teacher, he remained a householder for many, many years, just to teach others how one should live in household life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the word samajayata means fully exhibited. In all his activities while present on the earth, the Lord exhibited detachment. This was fully displayed when he wanted to teach by example that one should not remain attached to household life for all the days of one's life. One should naturally develop detachment as a matter of course. The Lord's detachment from household life does not indicate detachment from his eternal associates, the transcendental cowherd damsels. But the Lord desired to end his so-called attachment to the three modes of material nature. He can never be detached from the service of his transcendental associates like Rukmini and other goddesses of fortune. As described in Brahma Samhita 529, Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrahma Sevyamanam. End of Srila Prabhupada's purport. So this is a pretty simple, straightforward text glorifying Krishna's quality of detachment. So in the Padma Purana, we hear that the definition of Bhagavan, there's so many great people. We can't deny that. There's so many great people throughout history. And to us, many of them seem godly. They're so amazing. But the Padma Purana says this is how you can identify God from, say, a created creature, created being. So there it said that Aishvarasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashasashya Jnanavairaga Yoshchaiva Shanam Bhaga Itingana. This verse is saying that he, who's actually Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, will have the following 6 qualities or opulences in full. And the first one is Aishvarya, or wealth. The next is Virya, or strength, power. Yasha, fame. Striya, beauty. Jnana, knowledge. Vairagya, detachment or renunciation. When all those opulences are fully present in that person, meaning those qualities in full, we might have lots of wealth or lots of beauty or lots of knowledge, but we can't say we own all the wealth. Even if you just own 1 penny and I own all the rest of the money in the universe, if you own 1 penny, I can't say I own it all. Because I own it all minus 1 penny. But Krishna owns it all. So these are the qualities of Bhagavan, he who possesses the opulences. And in the Krishna book, Prabhupada actually says that the opulence of renunciation is Krishna's supermost opulence. So why is that his supermost opulence? I mean, there's so many opulences. Why is that one pointed out? And my understanding is that each and every one of us, we have some beauty, some knowledge, some strength, some wealth, right? Some fame. But no matter how paltry it is, no matter how perverted it is, we're not detached from it. Give us a little bit of wealth, a little bit of position, a little bit of beauty, a little bit of knowledge, and we become very proud of it. And we're attached to it. We don't want that little bit of money taken away from us, or our beauty starts to escape us as we age. Oh no! And we freak out, we have our midlife crisis, or whatever it is, We're so attached, even though whatever we have is just so paltry. But Krishna, He has all the opulences in full. He owns it all. But he's totally detached from it. He never ever becomes attached. He doesn't become proud of it. Prabhupada made the important point that Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasham Brahma Sevyamanam, that according to Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says that the Lord is served constantly by millions, thousands and millions of gorgeous goddesses of fortune who constantly serve him with great love and attention. How can he not be attached to them? But he's detached. But Prabhupada made the point, it's not that he's detached from his eternal associates, but he's detached from having that position whereby he's served by all these eternal associates. It's not that he, I don't love my eternal associates anymore, but he's not attached to that position. So it's very hard for us to comprehend that because we're so far away from that mood of detachment. So anyway, so Prabhupada made a point in the purport that in all of Krishna's pastimes when he appeared on earth, each pastime the Lord exhibited detachment. So two of the pastimes in Krishna Lila that are particularly pointed out for demonstrating the Lord's detachment. There's two in particular. Can we think of any of them? Krishna.
When he disappeared from, when they were doing the rasa dance, just I think gopis were feeling proud and Krishna. And another, I think, I could be wrong, that Radha loved, so he wanted to find out, but then he disappeared from the arena.
Yeah, so that's all one pastime. That counts as one pastime when Krishna and the gopis were really enjoying the rasa dance. And then he just all of a sudden picked up and left. Like, what just happened? Just total detachment. For us, as soon as you start engaging in some kind of enjoyment, it's like quicksand. As soon as you put your one foot in, all of a sudden your whole leg gets sucked in and your whole body, you just get sucked into it. You can't get out of it, right? It's a trap. But Krishna just walked away. And there's another pastime that the acharyas say specifically illustrate his mood of detachment also.
Well, the famous one is where you get the name Rancher.
Exactly. So Jarasandha was attacking Krishna, his fort there in Dwarka, for the 18th time. He's been totally defeated 17 times, but he's so puffed up, he comes, I'm going to do it this time, And every time he got defeated, his whole armies were annihilated, but he'd come back with more armies. So here he is for the 18th time, I'm really going to do it this time. And so there's Krishna on the battlefield with Jarasandha, and then he just does a 180, and he and Balaram just walk away. Just I'm bored, and they just walk away. And Jarasandha's thinking, cowards. They knew I was going to kill them this time. I was actually going to win this time. So they just are walking away out of fear. But it's actually explained, Krishna was just totally detached. He didn't care about name and fame, about whether I'm going to win. And he had another purpose, and that was to go address the issue of Rukmini sending a messenger to Krishna to ask him to kidnap her.
I think the best of all is after speaking the Bhagavad Gita, in 18th chapter, Krishna says to Arjuna, now that I've spoken the whole Bhagavad Gita, ete ichasi tataku, as you please do.
Yeah.
But that is something I feel is the best.
Yeah, excellent, because
he's spoken so much.
Most of us, I'm going to give you an instruction, let's say. I'm going to either correct you or give you some good advice or whatever it is, and you don't take it, I'm going to get angry. What's wrong with you? You're not listening to me. You're not taking my advice. You nonsense, right? I get upset. I want people instructing Arjuna with excellent, instruction. But then he's like, whatever you want to do, you make up your mind. Or if you want me to totally repeat everything I just said, I'll totally repeat it too. Total detachment. So in that pastime of Ranchor, of where Krishna is now called Ranchorji because he who ran away is that name, and in that pastime is where the Prabhupada says this quality of detachment is Krishna's supermost opulence. The supermost opulence. So we can't imitate Krishna, obviously. We are attached, and that's why we're here. And our process is not a process of detachment, like the impersonalists, right? The yogis, they go through such austerities and practices to force themselves to be detached from material sense enjoyment and family life and possessions and whatever. So our movement is not teaching people to become detached. Our movement is teaching people how to redirect their attachment. Don't try to kill attachment, but redirect it. And the only way you can stop being attached to something of lower quality is if you become attached to something of a higher quality. So in material life, it's been explained over and over again that the highest enjoyment and platform for attachment is family life. Assuming that you're not, I was going to say assuming you're not in some dysfunctional family, but you know what? There's people who are in dysfunctional families, even kind of like abusive relationships, but they're so attached they can't get away. It's like even though they are, yikes, they're suffering really, they might even be exploited, whatever, but they can't walk away. There's some attachment there. There's some attachment. So we need to become attached to something higher. And the only thing that's something higher is transcendental, Krishna consciousness. So there's a nice, Rishabdev in the 5th canto, he's speaking to his 100 sons. And he warns them. He wants them to be like, the leaders of the world. And he warns them in this very famous verse 558. Pumsastriya mituni bhavametam tayor mito hridaya grantumahu atokriha shetra sutapta vittar janasya moho yamaham. He says that the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. We always say we don't want to take birth again. May you never take birth again, right? But we will take birth again if we haven't overcome the attraction between male and female. On the basis of this misconception, what misconception? That I, in a woman's body, will only be happy with a man, or I, in a man's body, will only be happy with a woman. On the basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. So what is this implying? This implies that if one can refrain from that attachment between male and female, then necessarily or as a result, one will not become attached to the body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine. It's a very strong instruction from Rishabdev. Now, again, you can't just, boom, drop attachment. We have to become attracted to something higher. So Srinivas Acharya has written a very nice verse in glorification of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Tyaktva turnamashesha mandalapati shrenim sadatu chavat bhutva dina ganesha ko karunaya kopina kanta shricho. He says of the 6 Goswamis that because of their compassion for the fallen conditioned souls, because they had a higher mission on their mind, beyond the mission of let me maintain my family, let me get some position in the world, etc., etc. They had a higher mission in mind. And what was that mission? To please Lord Chaitanya. They didn't want anything except to please Lord Chaitanya. How do we please Lord Chaitanya? We please Lord Chaitanya the best way to please Lord Chaitanya is to alleviate him of his anxiety. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in total anxiety about the condition of the fallen souls. So out of compassion for those poor fallen souls, the 6 Goswamis gave up their exalted positions as ministers and took vows as mendicants. They were all living opulent lives, with good families, good homes, good education, good wealth. I mean, they had it made in the shade, materially. And they just dropped it all like a hot potato to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement fully, thus minimizing their bodily wants as far as possible. They each accepted only a loincloth and a begging bowl. Thus they remained in Vrindavan to execute the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They compiled and published various Vaishnava literatures, and they excavated the pastime sthanas of Krishna, Radha and Krishna. And the reason they were able to give up that lower taste of maintaining the body and family and all this was because they had a higher taste. And it's also said in another verse that they were enchanted, meditating on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And they were so enchanted, they were like absorbed, like in samadhi. And they could think of nothing else but serving Lord Chaitanya's mission. So this is the Krishna consciousness movement, how to become attached to Krishna. And many times people ask, how do I know I'm making advancement in Krishna consciousness? How can I tell that I'm doing it right, that I'm going forward? And Prabhupada's, common answer was, just like if you have a disease, you have a high fever, you know you're getting better when 2 things are happening. The high fever is decreasing, and your normal appetite is increasing. When you're sick, you have high fever, and you can't eat. You bring a person their most favorite food. Oh no, get that away from me, yuck. No appetite, the taste buds, and everything, ooh. So you know you're getting better when simultaneously the fever is decreasing and the appetite or attraction to eating is increasing. So like that, we know we're making advancement in Krishna consciousness when our fever of material life, our attachments and attractions are decreasing. Why are they decreasing? Because on the other side of the scale, our attraction, our appetite for hearing and chanting is improving. So that's our process of renunciation or detachment, to raise this side of the scale, the attraction to Krishna, by more carefully hearing about him and his devotees. And the 6 Goswamis are perfect examples because they're in sadhaka bodies, right? They're actually in their constitutional form, manjaris of Krishna's Leela. But in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, they took the sadhaka dehas and they showed by their perfect example how to be so absorbed, so enchanted by Radha Krishna Katha that they didn't even concern themselves with eating and sleeping, except for very, very basic, just to keep the body and soul together. And that detachment is the real sign of a true devotee. They really, really, really are detached, not artificially, but because of the higher taste. So we'll stop there, see if there's any discussion. It's interesting how Prabhupada said, Krishna exhibited householder life for many, many years, just to teach by his example. Because some of us might kind of scratch our head and be like, oh, how's that an example? He had 16,108 wives. You know, I thought Ramachandra was the real example, taking his Ekapatni Vrata. But imagine the renunciation. Okay, it's one thing to renounce one wife, one household, but he had 16,108 to renounce. So he really showed by his example. You know, we're all proud of, oh, I'm very renounced. See, I walked away from my job and my family, and I took sannyas. Big deal. Krishna had 16,108 to walk away from. He's really showing by his example. Okay, any discussion? Prashant?
When we talked about the 6 Goswamis, and I can't remember exactly my words, how they were so much immersed in Krishna and love of Krishna, that Krishna and Radha came to protect them. I know you can correct me. Raghunath Das, he didn't have a place to live or something, and so he was sitting like on the bank of, I don't know what the river was, the Ganges or Jamuna, and there was this tiger coming to drink, and then you see a picture of Krishna, and it was like protected, and I think one of the Goswamis got upset with him or something like that, you know,
Sanatana Goswami.
Another time was Radha.
Yeah, Sanatana Goswami got upset with
Who?
Rupa Goswami. Sanatana Goswami got upset with Rupa, if I remember correctly, because
Maybe that was.
no, that was a different
One
pastime.
I was thinking
No,
was Radha.
this is a different pastime because he was going to cook,
Oh yeah,
and she came and brought ingredients or something.
Yeah.
And Sanatana goes, "Who was that beautiful girl?" Oh yeah, just some. Where'd you get those ingredients to make this big feast out in the middle of a forest?
yeah.
Oh, some beautiful girl came and delivered it to me. Do you know who that beautiful girl was? You just took service from Radharani. Oh no!
Yeah.
Our business is to serve them, not they serve us. You know?
She's right. Once I think Raghunath Goswami was chanting in the bank of the river. It was very hot. So rather than she used her sari to give shade to him.
Okay.
That's what she's talking about.
Yeah, thank you.
Lakshmi, you had something?
I was just gonna say that one time we were in Varshana, and we had been going through the different forests of Vrindavan, all the different places, and with Hari Puja Mataji, Haridwani, Kunti, and another mother, I can't remember what her name was. We were starving. We hadn't eaten all day. We were just starving, and we kept going from one place to another, like little ashrams, and they'd say, "Oh, we're sorry, we just ate, everything's finished. Maybe so and such ashram will, so we go to the next place and the next place and the next place, and nobody had any food, so we thought, well, we're just gonna fast." Then we went to Radharani's temple, and there was this little girl that was preparing some food, and I thought in my mind, wow, that would be really nice, and I thought, no nonsense, you're such a lusty woman, you just like worrying about your own tongue and belly, this hasn't even been offered to Radha yet, and you're thinking about eating it, and I'm kicking myself, for being such a nonsense, and so then on our way back, the mothers were leaving, and I was the last one, still kind of hanging my head, yeah, and this little girl comes to the edge of the platform there. She said, "Mataji, prasada?" I'm like, what? So it was just a chapati with some sabji in it. So I gave her 500 rupees.
Oh, wow.
And I was shaking when I was giving it to her. She was shaking as she was handing me that and taking the rupees. And so then I went and I shared all of it with my friends. And I took one piece of the chapati home because I'm like, who's that little girl? So I got that for Shana.
Was it Varshana?
Yeah.
So and actually, that's proper vision. We should see the devotees of the Lord, no matter how old or young they are, as this is Krishna coming to me. You know, even the devotees that we live with, you know, somebody corrects me, I should see that that's Krishna. That's Guru and Krishna speaking through this person, you know? That's actually proper vision. When we don't have that vision, then I just see you as a mundane person. Oh, I don't have to take instruction from you. Who are you? You know? So we should develop that mood. Okay, if there's anything else, we'll stop there. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Everybody make sure that they get some waffles.
Waffles
Waffle, waffle, waffle.
with homemade cake syrup?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah.
Sure.
And, oh, yeah,
I hope they made a lot,
I'm hoping, I know that they were making more.
because we're each gonna take a stack this tall.
Oh, there's, one is more than enough. Probably
Yeah.
half is plenty.